Good morning, everybody. When we think of Missouri today, we think of the middle of the country. But in the early 1800s, Missouri was considered the western frontier. And in 1819, Missouri petitioned to join the Union as a state, and that led to a big controversy, the result of which was the Missouri Compromise, which was passed by Congress on this date, March the 3rd, in 1820. There are a lot of ways of studying American history, and one way is the movement west. And each of these colored areas is a chunk that was added as we moved from east to west. And our focus today is on the Louisiana Purchase area, that pink part in the middle, because that's where Missouri is. Here's a painting by Thomas Ruckel. It's called The 3 Mile House on the Old Frederick Road. You'll notice there are horses, oxen, covered wagons, lots of people. The road might not be that great, but people are on the move. And why are they on the move in the early 1800s? Well, this is a tobacco field, and tobacco is really hard on the soil. So many Southerners were moving because they wanted soil that wasn't worn out. This is the Cumberland or National Road. It was the first major long-distance road built by the federal government. It was built to what was known as the Ohio Country, and many, many thousands of people used this to move west. This red line is U.S. Route 40, and east of the Mississippi, it approximates the old National Road. So check that out sometime if you're in that part of the country. The steamboats pictured here were used on the big rivers, the Missouri, the Ohio, the Mississippi, the Platte, the Arkansas, and many people used these to move west. And Congress helped. In 1820, it passed the Land Act, and this enabled people to buy land for a pretty good price. So our focus is on Missouri. You can see it's part of the Louisiana Territory. And in 1819, Missouri petitioned the Congress to join the Union as a state. Now, the last time a big area was added to the country was in 1787, when the Great Lake states, called the Northwest Territory, came into the Union under the Northwest Ordinance. And the Northwest Ordinance had prohibited slavery in those states. So when Missouri's application came to the Congress, Mr. Talmadge from New York proposed an amendment that would limit slavery in Missouri. Now this passed in the House of Representatives, but it didn't pass in the Senate. Why? Well, here's a map of the population density in 1820, and it's quite clear that there are more people living in the North than in the South. So the North is dominating the House of Representatives. But in the Senate, there was still an even split between northern states and southern states. So Henry Clay, pictured here, was from Kentucky, and he's the one that proposed the Missouri Compromise, which is our event for today. And it was important to Clay to maintain the even split between North and South in the Senate. So here's his proposal. Missouri would enter as a slave state. Maine would break off from Massachusetts and enter as a free state, thus preserving the balance of power in the Senate between North and South. And a fun fact, look at the dome of the Boston State House pictured here, and you see a pine cone. When this building was built, Maine and Massachusetts were the same state, and Maine has a big lumber industry. Another part of the Missouri Compromise limited, indeed prohibited, slavery north of the Red Line. So you'll notice, everybody, that when the country has another chance to prohibit slavery, it does. This did not please the South, but it's what happened. And the Missouri Compromise worked, and the tension between North and South was kept on hold until new land came after the war with Mexico, pictured here, and especially when California in 1850, after the gold rush, wanted to come in as a free state. So the 1850s are going to be full of tension between North and South over slavery and its possible expansion.